just before satsang, I was sitting here doing nothing. And when I was doing nothing, my mind was not there. So the space in me expanded to fit the totality of space that I'm aware of without the absence of the mind, or with the absence of the mind. Now, this emptiness place is the highest holy place. There's nothing there but the essence of you. The essence of you. The cognizer of your own body, mind from within, which itself can never be seen, but it can be heard in a sense. You ask it a question, it'll give you a response in one way or another. But itself cannot be observed as the center of your being. When you're in the center of your being, that is your eternal resting place, right now identified with your body. And if you just close your eyes, or you can keep them open, and sink into your own body, and also sink into that part of you which is watching that which is around you. Now you're at the core of your own being. And this is where I was prior to satsang. But I got all mixed up on how to go into satsang, which I do get mixed up on every month, every week. Somebody usually comes along and tells me how to do it, but I wish somebody, and they probably already have, but I don't know where it is, just send me the link for satsang. Nothing else, just a link for satsang. So all that I had to do is open that link and I'm at satsang. That link must be somewhere, but I don't have it. I don't know where it is. Look, your mind, in a major way, is everything to you. You learn through it. You feel yourself through it, or because around it. But it seems to be the center of your own being, your sense of self and being alive. From this self feeling alive and being alive and being aware of oneself, one is aware of others. But they're only objects in your field of consciousness. I assume Mark is there as a separate person in satsang that can communicate with me and make himself appear to be more real to me. That's not important. That's a game. What is important is being able to sit inside yourself. You sink down from a position of ordinary consciousness. You sink down into the bare awareness of your own existence, and you sink into that bare awareness where there's an outside world, but you know nothing of it really. It's just an appearance out there. The same with another person if they came into the room, or Radha, which is down there watching me, my cat. Radha's coming up, I think, too. No, she's not. So how do you sink into yourself to become your base consciousness? And let's try that as an exercise. Sit quietly and turn your attention away from the screen as people at satsang. Feel your own body as intensely as you can. Your body will be sending a gestalt of the feelings of your body that make you real in the world, your sense of existence in the world. This is without all your identifications as being a human, being an adult, being a homeowner, or anything like that. Those are our ideas. I want you to experience yourself rawly, without any ideas. And actually, it's relatively easy to do once you can cut off your mind to thinking and speaking in the normal way. To just shut up and sink into you, the body, the quiet mind. And there, just hold itself. This is your position of power. You'll never have more power than when in this position. And by that, I mean power of the life force acting through you, identified to you. Everything else you say or talk about is just kind of communications through signaling and words and movements. The way your body is, the way you speak, the rapidity of how you speak, the words you speak. But when you shut that down and you relax into your own emptiness, and if you can shut your mind down, do so, please. And now, if you can do this, you become a vast emptiness. With no real center of being except somewhere in the totality of your sitting body, you feel your body. She joins me. She's showing the way. Radha's sitting next to me. I love you, sweetie. But for you out there, this position of being quiet, not talking, not listening to music, not thinking about what to do next, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, or what has to be done in the house. You can get rid of all that. It's not that hard to get rid of it after you learn the trick of getting into yourself. With your mind stopped, Just feel yourself, the totality of your body, from your hands to your feet, trunk of your body, your chest, the vibrations of talking into your body, into your throat. And then forget all those words too. Don't be a body or a throat or anything like that. You're the cognizer of the body. You see, you have to switch from being a physical body to being a body. And as a body, you cognize things through your sense apparatus. So, when your mind, you are focused on your own body, you can turn around and rest in your own body and be completely empty, filled with space. From the space inside of you to the space that's all around you, that you can see, that you can hear. And in this apparent space, you actually learn how to do this after a while. From this sitting in emptiness, and the emptiness inside and the emptiness outside, is you might say, a place of nothingness, but of an underlying extreme amount of activity. It's the awareness of your own self. And also, through the body, the awareness of the external world. But when you can sit only your own awareness, the body becomes a thing in consciousness. And you don't even think about it because you don't have any words to think with it, just being aware of it. So just being aware of your own self, when you can learn how to do that after years of sitting meditation and being quiet and introverted. And you can sit in yourself as your own resting place and drop all interest in the external world or even to your own self. There's a vast emptiness that opens up, and you as consciousness become evenly distributed through that vastness, which is only the feeling of yourself in your world when you're sitting with half-closed eyes, quietly, staring into a wall or overlooking an ocean, closed eyes or half-closed eyes. And with the closed eyes, what happens is your sense of space inside your body expands into the totality of nothingness around you. The same nothingness you disappear into every night at sleep. Now you begin to understand that this thing called consciousness is also extremely complicated to understand. One kind of understanding is to just shut up and back into this totality of emptiness. And when you can do this and be quiet, you begin to, it feels like shine. You begin to shine your sense of self through your body but not aware of your body directly. I mean, you're aware of it, not like being awake. You're aware of it sitting in silence. And your awareness extends way beyond the body. But now there's a conundrum. The body with the eyes closed is very different from the body with the eyes open. The body with the eyes open has shape and form. The body with eyes closed does not. So which are you? You're both. So don't think about it too much. Sometimes you're the totality of all that's around you. Sometimes the darkness of the totality of your inward space and sitting in a dark room. At other times, like now, I'm the center of a very active universe that feels alive, that's filled with light and energy, but I hear nothing. And nothing is being directed at me in terms of communication that I'm aware of. And this space here is so filled with power, so filled with peace too. In here, universe itself is quiet because you, the observer, are quiet. When you are quiet, the universe you perceive is quiet, and all around you is quiet. And when that quietness is filled with a consciousness that rests in itself, in you, the body, in the sense of self, and the consciousness located within and around you. This is the most peaceful you'll ever be in your life. When you learn how to really do this and do nothing else, like no thinking while you're doing this, no speaking while you're doing this. In a sense, you become non-existent as a body, and you just feel what's going on within you and around you. So in some ways, you're even the deepest awareness. You're still aware of your body in some vestigial way of being awake and alive. But the more inward you get into that body sitting peacefully in the corner of the room staring at a wall, or listening in silence, or sitting in front of a television set with no sound and just watching the motion of whatever's on the screen. What was that? You're in the most powerful position you'll ever be in. You are the beginning and end of the universe. It all exists. Everything you see, hear, and touch is because of your waking mind. It has no real reality other than which you give it by your mind. If your mind is not there, the reality of the other is not there. You may bump into objects, but unless you can name what's happening, it's just a sensation. Just rest in yourself. Sink into your own self. Feel the sensations, the residual sensations of your body. Like with me, it's usually feeling my existence in my back, down to my buttocks, my neck, the back of my body is the last thing that I'm aware of before it too melts into nothingness. And there you sit, going from nothingness back into somethingness, like a sitting human being in a dark room, and then back again into inwardness, which is immeasurable, because once you're totally inside of yourself and free of your mind, you open up and you become the whole universe. Except it's the whole universe of your mind, because actually there's nothing there. It's just a vast emptiness, exhausting everything. And here is your power. The entire power of your entire existence is now focused in a small area of space-time, which is you sitting in nothingness, not paying much attention to nothingness at all, and maybe just feeling your body and then even losing touch of your body. And consciousness is of the residual. Consciousness is not permanent. Consciousness is varying all the time, whether you're awake or whether you're asleep. But it begins to very much slow down and become more the center of attention as your body heads towards sleeping. When you're sleeping, even awareness of your body disappears, and your awareness of consciousness disappears into the non-awareness from your point of view of an entity sliding into sleep. You take the world with you into nothingness. What a block-busting point of view. You are the center of your entire universe, as well as being the entire universe from your point of view, being a human body, sitting in a chair or walking along the ground. You are everything. You are all that you can see, feel, and touch. That is your true existence, not just limited to the body, but to everything that the body also experiences. Because when your eyes are shut, it's hard to distinguish, if at all, where the body leaves off and the external world begins. For all intents and purposes, you and the universe are one. And you float in the vastness of emptiness in space. And without an active mind, the entire universe around you is still and vast and open and aware. Stay like this for a long time, as often as you can do it. If you open your eyes for a moment and look at the screen of your computer, how many men are there versus women that are sitting in their own unawareness with quiet mind? This is kind of a male thing to be done. But I wish more women would be interested in finding their own nature through spirituality. I think men are so lost from all their separate identifications in the world that they appreciate their own nothingness and they can get rid of all those identifications. Or perhaps it is that women don't want to get rid of their identifications and enter emptiness. I don't know. But I do know that there's a big division between men and women who are meditators or wanting only awareness of their own body and mind. Now, this peacefulness you feel, as well as the total aliveness of your body that is scintillating with all these energies, with no words going around. You're almost exploding with this energy of being alive. And you take this aliveness and sink into it. So you sink into your body more and stay there. Here you're getting used to living in your own awareness of your own self and that which is around you from the attitude or the orientation of your own personal self. And over a period of time, you begin used to watching the identifications of your consciousness shift until you're in pretty heavy self-awareness. And it closes down on the body, and you lose awareness of the external world. And eventually, you lose awareness of yourself and you're asleep. Or at least you're asleep in the conscious way of not being aware of the world anymore, but you may still be aware of yourself. In which case you're in samadhi. But over the years of practicing meditation, the difference between an inner and the outer world really disappears for you. There's only one, and that's your existence as you perceive it from your own body, whether it extends to the vastness of the world around you that you create through your senses and your mind's interpretation, or your attention is diminished and focused only on your own body and then your own emptiness and then on nothingness. Now, if you can master being in nothingness and identifying with nothingness without going to sleep, you've reached another pole of consciousness. Now you're beginning to understand consciousness in its various poses in and through you. Sometimes asleep, sometimes nearly asleep and aware of being going to sleep, but being fully aware of your consciousness. And then opening up even more, being aware of those around you, the world around you, but without the mind moving. Finally, going more into the world, you begin to think of yourself as a body and the others out there around you. And you become a family or you become a group. And you can take all of these different positions just by the coming and going of your own awareness. And I can assure you, when you have gained such mastery over your own consciousness, and this mastery feels like you, you become, in a sense, all powerful because nothing in the world bothers you. Nothing in the world bothers you because you know you are greater than anything in the world. Because the world depends on you for its existence. When you become fixated in yourself as the seat of self, rather than the world becoming the center and you're a peripheral bump, you become the center. And the world is a series of bumps. Which do you want to be? You want to become totality of the self, which includes the stars above, the earth below, and all the trees and animals and dirt in the universe belong to it. And then you narrow down, you know what I mean, and go from minimum to maximum space to no space. And you begin to understand existence and non-existence. You can even talk about it if you want. But there's nothing to be gained by talking about it. You don't become more enlightened. You don't become greater or more powerful. But the feelings inside of you feel like you have more power once you solidify into yourself, into your body, and can drag the rest of the world into your identification, into oneness with your body. This is how you play with your existence. This is how you get to know your existence. This is how you get to know the knower as well as the known within you. Now, does anyone have any questions or observations? Mark, do you want to make an observation?
I was just about to, you could rely on me for some comments, but so last time we spoke in Satsang, I was talking about what you call the emotional tactile sense. And I said that emotional tactile sense was becoming primary in my experience. And you said, yes, it would. So what's happening to me lately, if I could put it into words, is that the emotional tactile sense of depth within my sense of self is increasingly becoming known to me. It's like it's meeting me and having it get acquainted having me get acquainted with it and inviting me to deepen into itself. So that's kind of like the way it feels. So there's like a depth that is emerging, inviting me deeper and deeper to the point where it's tactile, as if like I could take my fingers and feel a mountain, like that's how it is. But it's not exactly like that, but it is kind of like that. It's like the most real thing that exists experientially at this point for me. And it encompasses everything else. It's just like I'm going deeper into what I've always been, but it's almost like a sculptural, tactile feeling sense from my core into this architectural depth of self.
Yes,
That's that's the best way I could put it.
yes.
Uh, so what does that significance mean to you, what I'm talking about?
It doesn't have a meaning.
Okay,
Meaning is relatively superficial. It's part of the thinking mind.
right.
But real power of you as a entity is being submerged into your own depth of being alive and being sentient, and make that the primary space of your universe, not you as a secondary object in this universe. So what's happening to you in terms of the utter feelings you feel, or what's nibbling at your neck, so to speak, or your heels, is the most important thing in your world right now. And it may only be in your world for 6 minutes or 60 seconds or 60 years, but that's where your life is, which is that which is conscious in the moment in your world. That's why meditators sit every day to keep their world expanded and also be totally aware of the self. Meditators always are really aware of themselves and also that which is beyond them as appearance. But is any of it real? I don't know. I couldn't care less. To me, it's all appearance, and whether it's real or not is not important. I just know that it's there, and it pleases me to be able to play with it, to play with my own boundaries, to play with my own sense of being alive, to play with feeling distant from the wall over there and wondering if I could touch it in some way with my heart or with my mind or with my extended spiritual body and all these kinds of things. It's playing with your own life and reality. And someday, the desire to play or expand one's knowledge of one's body stops, and you just rest in the totality of your own consciousness. And there's no movement after that towards greater expansion or understanding. You've just found your place in the universe, so to speak, where you're totally happy within your own self, no matter how much of that self you're aware of. It's enough for you. There's no need to keep going and expanding and keeping the effort going your entire life. It's best to, as early as possible, reach the space where you don't effort anymore because you disappear in meditation. You, who is the doer or the cognizer, disappears, and you become the uncognitized yet aware self.
I just want to say there's no effort involved. It's like an automatic unfolding that's happening within me, and there's no effort at all. It's more like an enjoyment.
Yes.
Um, yeah, the other thing I wanted to say is that at some point, along this path, when one gets far enough along the path, all self-identifications will eventually be let go of, even the one that I am consciousness.
Yes.
Because one realizes, as you've said before, that although consciousness is the closest object in our experience, or the whatever, it is our experiencing itself, it appears as an object because we are that which is observing it. We are that which is aware of the consciousness. So the consciousness is almost like a concept that one can latch onto and miss the full picture.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. But another way is to say to yourself, only I am. And everything around that is the conscious or the unconscious dream. And it simplifies everything because only I am. And you can ask somebody else what their experience is, that imaginary being you see there, if you want to make a more solid contact by making him more like yourself, you can do that. Or you can just withdraw into yourself and watch existence pass by from a position of absolute peace and, you might say, depth or awareness or mastery from your still body, your still mind. Master of that because you're not moved by it. You're only moved by you. And if nothing arises in you, you do nothing. And you sit in your own majesty because you are majestic. That's what you begin to realize when you sit in meditation. There is a power within you, and it's the power to create the universe by just waking up in the morning and ending the universe by going to sleep at night. And if you forget that there's an awakening and a sleeping going on, you can pretend to be God itself, and it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference. It's a concept now, which is not your experience. I like to get people in touch with their awareness of themselves. And that self is not the body, but it's aware of the body. It's not your mind, but it's that which is aware of your mind. It's that which can exist quietly, being aware of the world around us, being aware of your mind, being aware of your body, and not moving at all, just in utter peace. Notice there's nothing in there about becoming master of the universe, except the way I was expressing it before, because there's a sense that you can do that, but you don't want to do that. That's where people go wrong. And if you do too much of that when you're very deeply in meditation, all kinds of shit can happen. That's not too good. The unconscious world, or the world of images and ideas, they meld to each other. And there's identifications that are strictly imaginal, but you'll begin to believe for yourself, and you go fruitcake. It's not many that go bad. Most retain a real strong bond towards their body and towards their everyday life. But it is kind of necessary to not buy into the fruitcake mind's speculation. because then the power you had from being quiet and unmoved by the world is lost. And instead, you become a denizen within your fruitcake mind. Which is playing with imaginary existences. And even that's not so bad. It's not bad to waste time that way. But anything like I talk about, for many people, would just be a waste of time. But the really important thing in the world is to do something to save the animals or save other people or to create happiness throughout the universe by doing something, or to die on the cross for all people, etc., etc., and then to talk to people through the ages about how this one guy dying on the cross really helped them 2,000 years later. It doesn't mean a shit what he did. It's what you do in your beliefs. And if you believe nothing except that the existence is there around you and not speculating about the origin of that or the history of that, and just glued to the reality of what's in you and around you, you'll be safe from all theories, all ideologies, all doctrines from Christianity to Buddhism and all the other ones. You'll become your own Buddha. And that's what it feels like. I need no one. I am that I am, and that is enough. I am. I don't need to do anything to stay I am, except be aware I am. And from that awareness of I am, then I can take on the awareness of being a human being in a social setting, or a teacher or a student in a classroom. But I am that I am is a fundamental statement or observation or understanding. That's part of a whole bunch of different understandings that deal with fundamental processes of our own existence. We can play with these things for a long, long time until we don't want to play with them anymore. Maybe we want to teach about them, or maybe you don't want to do anything. Because sometimes that desire to stand out and to teach dies, and we're happy being and doing nothing from a human point of view. The human point of view of, let's say, ordinary humanness. But for the human that is just the basic feeling of consciousness and self-awareness, doesn't need any of that. But may be brought in it by his or her own destiny. Are there any thoughts? Any opinions? Any associations? Any disagreements? Another way to put this is that Elon Musk, Donald Trump are very important people in the United States. But to you, they're almost hearsay. People talk about them, and you see them talking on the television. And they're not so much unless you give them that adoration. But if there are no elements of fawning or adulation, or one is better than the other or greater than the other, you talk as peers. And you're no longer just there as a passive student learning the concepts that they're giving out. You don't need them anymore because you are your own teacher. You create your own space. You're the beginning and end of your own life. You don't need me anymore. You don't need Buddha anymore. Because you have yourself, the power of your own existence, the center of your own sentience, the beginning and end of your own existence. Now, homework. Focus your attention on yourself, meditation, on your body, on the expanding of your consciousness or awareness and its contraction and closing down onto self. When your eyes are open and you're fully awake and your consciousness expanded, your self is everywhere. And you could be very powerful. On the other hand, as you're closing down, going more and more to silence, the silence becomes king and gets all the honor and praise. You become nothing, wretched. Now, one by one, when you feel like it, Just leave, pushing the leave button on your screen and just disappearing. And as much as you want to take with you, push that button when it feels right to you. And if you want to stay all there for hours after hour, okay, fine. But take that emptiness and that vision, that feeling, and that expansion with you. And focus down at a point and leave.